Your cat is sitting on the kitchen counter watching you make breakfast. The coffee is brewing. The house is quiet. You reach over absent-mindedly to pet her head, and she leans away slightly. Her ears rotate back for just a second. Most people see that moment and think, she's grumpy this morning. Or maybe, cats are just moody sometimes. But what's actually happening goes much deeper than mood. Because in many cases, your cat is reacting to stress signals triggered by behaviors humans repeat so automatically. We barely notice we're doing them anymore. And once researchers started measuring those reactions scientifically, the results surprised even longtime cat owners. Number 1. The problem with direct staring. In 2019, researchers at the University of Lincoln tracked cortisol levels in 96 domestic cats during ordinary household routines. And what they found challenged a huge number of assumptions people have about affection. Nearly 3/4 of the cats studied showed measurable stress responses to behaviors their owners described as loving, normal, or comforting. Not because the cats disliked their humans, but because many interactions unintentionally crossed important sensory boundaries. And one of the strongest triggers? Direct eye contact. Humans look directly at things they love. We focus visually. We hold eye contact. We stare longer at people and animals we feel emotionally connected to. To us, that feels warm and affectionate. But to a cat, sustained staring can mean something completely different. In feline communication, direct, unbroken eye contact often functions as a pressure signal, a challenge, a test of awareness. Even among cats, prolonged staring can create tension. Now picture the scene again. Your cat is calmly watching the kitchen. You turn toward her, lock eyes, lean closer, and reach out at the same time. To you, it feels loving. But to her nervous system, multiple layers of focused attention are suddenly converging at once. Visual pressure, movement, physical contact, that tiny lean backward, those ears rotating, they aren't random. They're adjustment signals. Your cat creating space while deciding whether the interaction still feels safe and predictable. And here's the important part most people never realize. The cat isn't being difficult. They're communicating discomfort the only way they can. Through tiny body language shifts humans often overlook completely. Researchers studying feline social behavior have repeatedly found that cats generally respond more positively to softer visual engagement. Slow blinks, indirect gazes, relaxed body orientation, not intense eye contact held for long periods. Which means something important. Your cat may actually feel more comfortable with you when you look at them less aggressively. Once you understand that, those tiny reactions stop feeling random or moody. Because your cat isn't rejecting affection. They're responding to sensory pressure their instincts interpret differently than yours do. And direct staring is only one example. Because there are several everyday human behaviors cats quietly tolerate, even though their nervous systems experience them as far more stressful than we realize. It's documented in the neural architecture of predator response. A 2020 study by Drive Karen Cum at the University of Sussex examined how cats process direct eye contact from humans compared to averted gaze using behavioral coding of 24 cats across 120 interactions. Researchers found that sustained eye contact lasting more than 3 seconds triggered defensive responses in 87% of subjects. The cats either broke eye contact immediately, narrowed their eyes to slits, or left the interaction entirely. The mechanism is evolutionary. In cat social systems, prolonged staring signals, hostile intent, or predatory focus. Kittens learn this distinction by 8 weeks of age. A companion study from Tokyo University in 2021 used thermal imaging to track facial temperature changes during human-cat interactions. When humans stared directly at cats, the temperature around the cat's eyes and ears increased by an average of 0.8 degrees Celsius within 45 seconds, indicating activation of the sympathetic nervous system. The physiological stress response was equivalent to encountering an unfamiliar cat in their territory. What you intend as attention registers as confrontation. The research shows a clear alternative. Cats who received slow blinks where the human made brief eye contact, then closed their eyes slowly approached humans 64% more frequently and showed increased rubbing and purring behaviors. Your cat isn't rejecting your affection when she looks away. She's managing a threat response you're triggering without meaning to. Number 2, petting against the grain and overstimulation. Most people pet cats the way they'd pet dogs, using long strokes from head to tail, applying consistent pressure. Cats tolerate this briefly, then suddenly bite or scratch, and owners call it unpredictable aggression. A 2018 study at Nottingham Trent University mapped the specific touch patterns that trigger negative responses in cats. Researchers observed 120 cats during petting sessions, measuring the exact moment cats shifted from acceptance to irritation. The average tolerance window was 2 minutes, but the critical variable wasn't duration. It was direction and pressure. Cats have sebaceous glands concentrated around the face, chin, and base of the tail that produce pheromones for scent marking. These areas have dense nerve endings that register touch as pleasurable when stimulated correctly. But the spine and hindquarters, where most people focus their petting, have nerve endings designed for detecting threats like predators landing on their back. Stroking against the direction of fur growth from tail toward head activates these defensive pathways. The cat experiences each stroke as a violation of her protective layer. Dr. Sarah Ellis at the University of Lincoln documented this in a 2021 study using cats fitted with activity monitors that tracked micro-movements during petting within an average of 82 seconds of sustained backstroking. Cats showed rapid tail flicks, skin rippling along the spine, and pupil dilation. These are signs of overstimulation that precede aggression by 15 to 30 seconds. 91% of aggressive incidents during petting were preceded by these warning signals that owners either missed or ignored. Your cat isn't being moody. She's responding to touch that feels threatening, and she's giving you clear warnings before she escalates. Number 3, forced interaction and restraint. You pick up your cat to move her off the counter, to give her medication, or simply because you want to hold her. From your perspective, this is practical or affectionate. From her perspective, it's a loss of autonomy that triggers panic. A 2017 study by Judy Steller at Ohio State University examined stress responses in cats during routine handling. Using urine analysis to measure cortisol metabolites, researchers found that cats who were regularly picked up and restrained showed stress hormone levels 340% higher than baseline, persisting for an average of 47 minutes after the interaction ended. The cats weren't just momentarily annoyed. Their bodies were flooded with stress chemicals that took nearly an hour to metabolize. The biological mechanism connects to the cat's evolutionary history as both predator and prey. Being lifted off the ground removes all 4 paws from surfaces, eliminating the cat's ability to escape. This is the same physical state a cat experiences when caught by a larger predator. A 2019 study at UC Davis used behavioral analysis and heart rate monitoring on 63 cats during voluntary versus forced interaction. Cats who approached humans on their own terms had heart rates averaging 142 beats per minute during petting. Cats who were picked up without warning showed heart rates spiking to 198 beats per minute, equivalent to the cardiac response during a veterinary examination. The restraint itself, regardless of whether you're hurting them, activates the freeze-fight response. But there's a second factor that compounds the stress. Cats communicate readiness for interaction through approach behavior, slow blinks, and body orientation. When you initiate contact by picking them up, you're overriding their communication system entirely. They've told you they're not ready through their distance or body position, and you've ignored that signal. Repeated forced interactions don't teach cats to accept handling. A 6-month longitudinal study from Lincoln University in 2020 tracked 45 cats whose owners regularly picked them up despite avoidance signals rather than habituating. 78% of these cats showed increased avoidance behaviors over time, hiding more frequently and spending less time in rooms where owners were present. Number 4, inconsistent boundaries and rule changes. Your cat jumps on the kitchen counter. Some days you gently lift her off. Other days you're busy and let it go. Next week you're having guests and suddenly it's unacceptable again. So you shoo her away with a raised voice. You think you're being flexible. Your cat experiences this as environmental chaos. Research on feline cognition from a 2016 study at Kyoto University demonstrates that cats form spatial and behavioral maps of their environment based on consistent consequences. When researchers altered the rules governing food access using 42 cats in a controlled environment, cats whose rules changed randomly showed increased cortisol levels, decreased play behavior, and developed stereotypic pacing. The cats couldn't predict outcomes, so they existed in a constant state of vigilance. The neurological mechanism involves the chordate nucleus, the part of the brain associated with reward prediction and habit formation. When a cat performs a behavior and gets a consistent result, this pathway strengthens. Jump on counter, get removed. The pattern becomes predictable. But when the result changes unpredictably, the chordate nucleus fires without resolution. The cat's brain is trying to form a pattern where none exists. This creates low-level chronic stress that doesn't present as obvious anxiety, but manifests in behavioral changes owners rarely connect to inconsistent rules. A 2021 study by Drive. Christus and Vitali at Oregon State University examined how cats respond to mixed signals about boundaries using 58 cats and their owners. Researchers tracked behavioral changes when owners enforced rules inconsistently versus consistently. Cats with inconsistent boundaries showed 52% more attention-seeking behaviors, like excessive vocalization, and 41% more destructive behaviors like scratching furniture. These weren't dominant or badly behaved cats. They were cats trying to extract predictability from an unpredictable environment by testing boundaries constantly. Your cat needs to know what the rules are, not because she wants to obey them, but because her nervous system requires environmental predictability to regulate stress. Number 5. Ignoring territorial needs during changes. You rearrange the living room furniture, bring home new items, or have guests who sit in your cat's favorite chair. You notice your cat seems off for a few days, maybe urinating outside the litter box or hiding more than usual, but you assume she'll adjust. What you're missing is that cats don't map their environment visually the way humans do. They map it through scent, and you've just erased her territorial markers. A 2018 study from the University of Bristol examined how cats respond to environmental changes using scent mapping technology that detected feline pheromone deposits. Researchers found that cats scent mark their territory in predictable patterns, concentrating markers around transition points like doorways and furniture corners. When owners rearranged furniture, 83% of these scent markers were disrupted. The cats couldn't navigate their own territory using their primary sensory map. Dr. Daniel Mills at Lincoln University studied the behavioral fallout from these disruptions in a 2020 paper. Cats whose environments were changed without scent accommodation showed increased anxiety behaviors for an average of 11 days. The stress wasn't about the physical change itself. It was about the loss of olfactory landmarks. Cats orient themselves partially through scent trails they've deposited over weeks or months. Move the couch and you've deleted a section of that map. Introduce a new piece of furniture and there's a blank spot in her sensory landscape. The biological reason this matters connects to the cat's reliance on the vomo-nasal organ, a scent detection structure in the roof of the mouth that processes pheromones. This organ feeds information directly to the amygdala, the brain's threat detection center. Unfamiliar scents or missing familiar scents trigger low-level threat responses. Your cat isn't being dramatic about the new bookshelf. Her brain is registering the environment as unpredictable and potentially dangerous because her scent information no longer matches the physical space. Number 6. Disturbing sleep cycles and rest periods. Your cat is sleeping on the couch. You sit down next to her, or you vacuum the room, or you pick her up to make space for yourself. She wakes up, stretches, and relocates. This seems minor, just a small interruption, but cats require 12 to 16 hours of sleep per day. And the quality of that sleep depends on uninterrupted cycles. A 2019 study from Azabu University in Japan monitored the sleep architecture of 31 domestic cats using EEG sensors. Researchers found that cats enter REM sleep approximately every 25 minutes during rest periods, and each REM cycle lasts an average of 6 minutes. When these cycles were interrupted, even by minor disturbances like a person entering the room, cats took an additional 23 minutes on average to return to REM sleep. Over a day with multiple interruptions, this sleep fragmentation accumulated. Cats who experienced 3 or more sleep disruptions per day showed decreased grooming behavior, reduced play interest, and increased irritability during interactions. The implications connect to feline sleep's role in memory consolidation and stress regulation. A 2020 study by Drive. Tasuku Kimura at Kyoto University demonstrated that cats deprived of adequate REM sleep showed impaired spatial memory and decreased ability to navigate familiar environments. Their brains couldn't consolidate the day's experiences into usable memories. But there's a second factor specific to domestic cats. Unlike wild cats who sleep in hidden, protected locations, house cats often sleep in common areas where they're exposed to household activity. This is already a compromise of their instinctive need for secure rest locations. When you add interruptions to an already suboptimal sleep environment, you're compounding the stress. A 2021 study from UC Davis tracked 54 cats and their sleep disruptions over 2 weeks. Cats who had designated undisturbed sleep areas showed 37% lower baseline cortisol levels than cats who were regularly disturbed during rest periods. The difference wasn't about total sleep time. It was about sleep quality and the predictability of rest periods. Number 7. What your cat needs from you. The research on feline stress isn't telling you that cats are fragile or that you're failing them. It's showing you that cats experience the domestic environment through sensory and social systems that evolved for different purposes. Your cat doesn't hate you when she pulls away from direct eye contact. Her nervous system is responding to a signal that means something specific in cat communication. She doesn't lash out during petting because she's ungrateful. She's reacting to overstimulation that her nerve endings register as threatening. The pattern across all these behaviors is the same. Cats are giving clear signals about their boundaries and preferences. And those signals get overridden by human assumptions about what affection or care should look like. If you're feeling guilt about any of these behaviors, that's not the point. The point is adjustment. The next time you reach for your cat, let her come to you. When you make eye contact, add a slow blink and look away. Keep petting sessions short and focused on her face and chin rather than her back. Give her 48 hours to adjust to furniture changes, and use synthetic pheromone sprays on new items to bridge the scent gap. Protect her sleep by designating spaces where she won't be disturbed. These aren't complicated interventions. They're recognition that your cat's nervous system operates on different principles than yours. And respecting those principles doesn't diminish the relationship. It clarifies it. The science supports you in this. Every study cited here shows that cats bond more strongly with humans who respect their communication and boundaries. If this changed how you think about your cat's behavior, subscribe and tell me in the comments which of these 6 behaviors you recognized in your own routine. The